The Fox 61 News at 6 starts now.
People are just trying to finish their finals and get home to their families. One day you're a student and the next day it's your worst fear at school. You're in a school shooting, and this is just a reality in America. You don't think it'll happen to you, and then it does.
That's the message tonight from one of the many students who were at Brown University on Saturday as the hunt is still on for the shooter who killed 2 people and injured 9 others. Good evening and thanks for joining us for the Fox 61 News at 6. I'm Brent Harden.
And I'm Sarah Sanchez. A person of interest was taken into custody over the weekend, but that person has now been cleared by investigators.
As the investigation continues, there's a feeling of unrest on the campus. Fox 61's Alicia Hercules is live in Providence now and has more on students who are still trying to regain a sense of normalcy on campus.
Now, just a few moments ago, police wrapped up a press conference where they showed enhanced footage of a person of interest walking along streets on campus. They're asking anyone to look at any security footage they may have to help them find this person. Back on campus, it was an emotional day for students and staff as they visited memorial sites to pay their respects. Many of them say they're in complete shock and are still processing this heartbreaking tragedy.
Every life has dignity. No 18-year-old deserves to be shot.
Isabel Tribe is a junior at Brown University. She says she and several other students were on campus studying when they were alerted about the shooting.
We immediately got up and looked for somewhere to hide in the basement of the library. My first thought was, we don't know where this person is, and a library felt like a target.
She says she had an exam in the Barris and Holly building early Saturday morning.
Anyone can walk into this building. The door is often propped open. I was able to walk into my exam without swiping in.
She's now concerned with security at school. Robert Gemma has been a staff member at the school for 4 years. He works in the building next door to where the shooting happened.
Even now, standing in front of everything, there's a certain extent to which it doesn't feel real because everything is still going on. But as spring comes and there's going to be memorial services, and as the years go by and there's going to be memorial here, I'm sure that's really where I think it's going to set in.
Ella Cook, a sophomore, and Muhammad Aziz Umerzakov, a freshman, were killed in the shooting.
I have lots of friends who knew them, family members who had gotten lunch with them just the day before.
Tribe says the only thing that will bring her and other students peace is stricter gun laws across the country.
To me, the problem is not lack of security. The problem is guns, gun regulation, that people have access to military-grade assault rifles and access to guns.
The hunt is still on for the shooter, and some students say they won't feel safe until that person is caught. We'll provide the latest updates on the investigation on our website, fox61.com. Live in Providence, Alicia Hercules, Fox 61.
Alicia, thank you. And remember, you can stream our continuing coverage of the shooting investigation on Fox 61 Plus. You can also find the latest on our free Fox 61 News app and fox61.com.
Well, early this morning, a gun went off at a Torrington elementary school. We've now learned the person who fired the shot was the school security officer. Nobody was hurt, including the security officer, and it happened before the students were even in the building. That's the good news there. Fox 61 Solene Arif is live in Torrington for us with more on what happened this morning. Solene.
Yeah, good evening. I am here outside of the school, and I spoke with a man earlier today who told me his granddaughter goes to school here, and he had no idea what happened until he got to the school and realized the local news was here. Now, that man's name is Nick Zabera, and he told me obviously he is very glad that nobody was injured, but he's got a lot of questions about what set off the gun, and honestly, so do we. What we do know so far from police is that right after the shot was fired, school staff immediately called 911, who came out here to investigate. The security guard is cooperating, and he works for the Torrington Board of Education, which allows their security guards to be armed in schools. The grandfather I spoke with earlier tells me he's a permit holder himself, and he knows the biggest thing you have to be careful with when carrying a gun is making sure it's stored safely.
When you go and you're trained not so much for how to fire it and how to aim it, you're trained for how to keep it safe. Whether it's you have a firearm and it's in the house and you have children, you got to make sure it's locked, not just the firearm, but your ammunition. I mean, there's a lot of do's and don'ts.
Now, I found a Facebook post from the school district that they put up in June 2024 that said for the 2024 to 2025 school year, they added 4 new armed security officers at 4 different schools, including right here at Torringford Elementary School. And that post says that the armed officers, security officers, are retired law enforcement. For now, reporting live in Torringford, Soline Air, Fox 61.
All right, Soline, thank you. Crews in Waterbury say they are a step closer tonight to getting safe water into people's homes again. Officials say a majority of the city should have water to flush tonight, but they aren't lifting that boil notice until they can test the water. Fox 61's Victoria Anderson has been covering this all for us all week, and she has the latest now from Waterbury.
Waterbury officials told us that pressure and pace is their key focus as they slowly start bringing water pressure back to the downtown area, with their eyes set on hopefully returning to normal by Friday.
Quite frankly, we've never faced a situation of re-energizing a system the way we're doing it right now. That's why we're trying to be very cautious.
Caution is key this week in Waterbury as officials slowly start to bring water pressure back to the city's east end. But the water that is flowing is for flushing, not food, according to City Water Superintendent Brad Melee.
Best case scenario, we are taking samples tomorrow morning, having them to the lab early tomorrow afternoon, which would allow us to get results 24 hours after that.
If the city gets the all clear Thursday, the boil water watch could be lifted, which would allow restaurants to reopen. However, Waterbury Public Schools, which won't have class again Wednesday, have a plan for any result.
You know, we're working with our food services department to find ways to make sure that we can feed students safely. Even if we're possibly waiting for a result of a test, there's some ways for us to be able to do that. We will be ready for that.
But for locals like Kathy Grasso, who let me join her on her second trip to get water,
it's been tough.
She's ready for it to be over. Team Rubicon volunteers like Wayne Rio have been working at the distribution sites since Saturday.
Is this your 4th trip now?
Mm-hmm. Happy to serve until the city gets solutions.
The Water Distribution Center here at Municipal Stadium will be open Wednesday and Thursday from 9 a.m. to whenever crews run out of water. However, Crosby High School, the other distribution center, will not be open Wednesday or Thursday as the city prepares for a possible return to class on Friday. Reporting in Waterbury, Victoria Anderson, Fox 61.
Victoria, thank you, and we'll keep you updated on all aspects of the water main break in Waterbury. Just download the free Fox 61 News app to your devices and have your push notifications on to never miss an update. You can also stream us now and for free on Fox 61 Plus.
A former Meriden teacher accused of sexually assaulting a student was in court today. Sierra Picard was given a restraining order to cut contact with the student, including on social media. Court documents say she was 27 and the student was 14 when she began grooming him. She's accused of sexually assaulting him. Investigators say she gave him gifts and trips and sent explicit messages and photos. Picard's next court date will be February 13th.
We've learned tonight the accused driver in a DUI crash we first told you about yesterday is a state trooper. Officers in Southington say it happened on Halloween night just before 10:30 on Flanders Road. Police say 24-year-old Jacob Dreschler was alone in the car and hit 2 mailboxes and a fire hydrant. Later at the hospital, tests revealed he had an elevated blood alcohol level. Dreschler now faces several charges and is expected to appear in court later this month. Connecticut State Police say Dreschler is on paid administrative duty as the agency continues its investigation. Well, Big East play officially tips off for the UConn men's team tonight with an 8:30 meeting against Butler.
UConn has never lost in 11 all-time meetings with Butler, including in the 2011 national championship game. But the Bulldogs have come close several times, at least in the last few years. And Fox 61's Alexa Harley joins us in studio now with more on the start of conference action for the Huskies. Alexa?
Yeah, that game in just a couple of hours between those two Big East squads. They're going to meet in Hartford tonight in what is the first conference game for the Huskies. Now, last January when these two teams squared off, UConn scraped by with just a 2-point overtime win. Obviously, Dan Hurley's pack of dogs would like to avoid any OT hoops tonight against the Bulldogs. Now, the Huskies just wrapped up their non-conference gauntlet last week with only one real dent, a 4-point loss to #1 Arizona. They had big wins on the road at Kansas, the revenge victory over Florida at Madison Square Garden, plus wins against BYU and Illinois, setting this UConn team up for success as they enter this conference stretch of play. Now, the Huskies are incredibly battle-tested with some of those games I just mentioned, having played such high competition the last couple of months. But that's not to say that the Hoopers from Indiana will be an easy opponent. The Bulldogs, they are 8-2 with a top 25 win over Virginia less than a month ago, and they're equipped with two big guys, Finley Bizjack, who's averaging 18.8 points per game, and Gonzaga transfer Michael Ajayi, who's shooting around 17 points per game and posting 11 rebounds per game as well. Those two dogs combining for over 50 points in Butler's Big East win over Providence over the weekend. So limiting those two guys will be a huge key for UConn tonight. Another area that head coach Dan Hurley wants to see some improvement on is rebounding. He said yesterday that so far this year, their on-screen defense has not been what it needs to be a championship caliber team, and they also need to work on not turning the ball over as frequently. Now, we have a ways away until we get to the NCAA tournament, right? A couple months. But Dan Hurley also said yesterday that this Butler team is very much a contender for an at-large bid, considering how they fared in that non-conference slate. So even if fans don't see a number next to Butler's name, still stiff competition, still a big game for the Huskies. And of course, Butler would love to end that little losing skid 0-11 all time. So we got a few hours until tip-off in Hartford between these two packs of dogs, and we'll see if the Huskies can start off their Big East slate with a win. Make sure you tune in to Connecticut Game Week on Friday at 7 as Sean Humphrey and I will bring you a more in-depth look at the results on the hardwood for tonight's game.